Welcome to Storytime with Gina and Zena. Hi, I'm ZBexx.
And I'm Covert Go Gina.
Today we are taking you to Wilds of Eldraine, Episode 2, Wandering Knight, Budding Hero. We are so thankful for you to be along here with us. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. And I want to throw out a thank you to our sponsor, Addictive Behaviors, where you can get thousands of cards at ccgobsession.com. That's my family's game store. Until we have an official sponsor, that's how you can support me. Gina, do you have anything to shout out on that note?
I've got like a specialty drink. I'll be drinking Children because this is a very witchy episode. I just want to shout out to the children drink. I brought my frog.
Quite a nice skeletal companion.
Yeah, I'm all decked out in cauldrons, and you've got a pretty sweet hat and outfit going on there.
Which brings us to some of the darker woods of Eldraine. Gina, why don't you tell us where we're at and who we're with?
Rowan journeys the land on horseback, trying to find a cure for the wicked slumber. Rowan stops to stay at the home of a weaver named Royce, who asks, "Are you sure you don't long for some slumber yourself? Like, you got bags under your eyes. You look like you could use the rest." And Rowan answers, "Rest isn't any use to me." And Royce just shrugs and says, "Well, rest is going to come for you, whether you like it or not. But hey, you want to keep going in this quest, brave knight? Go to this nearby abandoned castle." And then she turns into a big spider and promises not to hurt Rowan.
I think she just is a big spider. Because there's something that hints that even the Fae want what Royce weaves. And then it's like she steps out of the darkness and it's like, oh crap, she's a big spider! Ah!
We so briefly meet this character, and I want to know so much more about Royce, but we spent barely any time with the big spider.
I hope we get Royce in a magic card.
We better, otherwise, what are you doing to me, story? In the morning, Rowan gets directions and finds the crumbling walls of the nearby abandoned castle. She slays a bunch of zombies with her sword. The library is empty. There's not even any cauldrons. It's been looted. Super disappointing. And she has a short emotional meltdown. And then lays on a bed that magically appeared. Because, yeah, maybe she would like some rest.
She has this emotional meltdown because she's seeing visions of Lyndon, her mother, well, her pseudo mother, the former queen, and she's having visions of Daddy, the king, lifting her up and spinning her around like a little girl.
Yeah, the magical bed, like she gets swallowed by a dream and just walks through this castle and sees it when it was new, and the glowing faces of the king and queen, and Lyndon even says, "Rowan, you made it." And her chest gets tight because they're just like she remembers them, and there's no wounds, and they're so happy. And yeah, like she runs to them and they hug her and spin her around. "You've come so far to see us. We're so proud of you," which is something every child wants to hear from their parent. And Lyndon even takes the crown from his head and puts it on Rowan's head, which seems pretty significant, and says, "Come to Castle Ardenvale. Your blood awaits you there." And she wakes up alone, gives herself time to cry, and then starts the journey to Castle Ardenvale.
Off she goes.
So she didn't quite feel her brother just kind of calling himself High King, and now she's having visions of herself with the crown.
That sounds like you're developing a villainous quality.
Since we don't know if she's going to be a hero or villain yet, I also kind of picture it like Queen Elsa from Frozen. Something about that where she's just like, "I'm tired of keeping this inside. Why not just go for it?"
She has lost both of her parents. Her brother doesn't believe her right now. She's in a very similar state of mind to Elsa.
We go back to visit our boy hero, Kellan, who is off to a great start on his quest, asking random people if they've seen any witches lately.
What the worst way just to go around and ask every single townsperson.
Like being a hero for idiots. He people watches and wonders if a lady selling pies could be a witch.
It's cool
really
because
bad at
Kellan is in Edgewall and he's seeing all of these different merchants in this bazaar of a type of street, a bizarre street, even one could say.
He's out in the wide world and he sees a sleeping man surrounded by a swirl of violet, mouth open, drooling on his armor. And this is the first time he's seen a victim of the wicked slumber. Like somebody even bumps into the sleeper and knocks him over. And Kellan wants to help him up, but a girl in a red cloak named Ruby stops him to avoid him from possibly catching the wicked slumber.
They're not sure how the slumber is transmitted. It could be through touch. So she's like, you don't want to do that. You also really don't want to be calling attention to yourself for witches. That's not too smart.
And we are on fairytale watch right now. We've already met a big spider. And now we've met a girl in a red hood, looking a lot like Red Riding Hood. We'll see if that's relevant. So they get into a conversation. Kellan reveals he's on a quest. Ruby doubts it because he doesn't have a sword. Kellan says, heroes don't need swords. Look what I've got. And he shows off these hilts that don't have any swords on them. They're just real sweet hilts that were given to him by Lord Talion. And he does ask for her help finding witches, and she suggests, like, you should ask my brother Peter, but he's actually missing, which is not actually very helpful. They make a deal. Kellan says, if you help me find the witch I'm looking for, maybe my liege can help you find your brother. And, but who my liege is a secret. And Ruby's like, okay.
Yeah, Ruby's a little suspicious at first, like, and just who is your liege? And Kellan knows in this Fae realm he cannot lie, so he just says, oh, they don't like being talked about very much, which isn't a lie, but it's also very dodging the question. Ooh, that's trouble a brewing.
So Kellen and Ruby travel across the wilds together and see Phyrexian remnants who were hacked apart after being stopped by the slumber. And they're oozing oil and have weeping eyes, and it's very creepy. And Kellan asks where they came from. And Ruby says, oh, yeah, the Boy King said they're from other realms, because that's like a thing that can happen. And Kellan's mind is blown by the idea of other realms.
I love how everybody refers to Will as the Boy King. It truly is his rep. It's not great.
Arrows get fired at them both. And Ruby tackles Kellan into a blackberry bush, and they see a man in wolf armor approach, staring at them. So they take off running into the woods. And Ruby yells at him, get out your swords! And Kellan's like, yeah, and he tries to throw one of his hilts at the knight. And it bounces off of him and comes back to Kellan's hand, but doesn't inflict any harm whatsoever.
No, and it's very important before we get any further in this story to introduce the world's greatest expression to you. King's wounds. At first, Kellan uses this expression, King's wounds, when they're in a clearing, and Ruby makes fun of him. But then as soon as the arrow comes at them and they start getting scared, Ruby herself exclaims, King's wounds! So as you're playing your games of Magic and you feel the battlefield is getting sticky, go ahead and exclaim, King's wounds! Okay, that's all. I love that part.
It's a very good character moment. Our small heroes run beneath the body of a dead invader and come across witch stalkers, which look kind of like wolves. And they both run through them and come out unscathed because neither of them are magical. Apparently, they only attack magical things. And when the wolf knight enters the clearing, the witch stalkers go after him, and that buys them time to keep running.
We had a card back in the core set of 2014 called Witch Stalker. I wonder if we're going to get a reprint of that card in this set, or maybe some other play of some similar things with that card. I'm interested to see if we'll see something like that in this set.
That sounds really plausible. They find a thorny and black cabin surrounded with violet mist, and Kellan declares, that has to be a witch's house. So they peek in the window and they see a witch, and she's pacing around a bubbling cauldron with a figure tied to a chair nearby, a knight with enchanted wood for an arm.
Wonder who that could be.
And the witch is singing, and I had to include the song. When I was hungry, a knight wandered in, wild at heart and covered in tin. How easy it was to beat her, in truth. but how hard to eat her without breaking a tooth. And now the wolf knight is starting to approach, dripping in blood. They don't want to get caught between the two, so Kellan doesn't wait any longer and he sneaks into the house. And at just the right moment, he tackles the witch and pushes her into the cauldron, and she screams in agony. Kellan frantically frees the knight and asks if she can battle the wolf knight. Imodane says, yeah, give me my hammer. Kellan learns an important lesson. Not all knights can be heroes all the time.
I love that because it reminds me of like, not all heroes can be capes, not all knights are heroes all the time.
And Ruby helps out by hurling a foul-smelling jar at the wolf knight. And then the wolf knight turns and says, Ruby, I've finally found you. She lowers her hood and he removes his helm to reveal it's her brother Peter. Whoa!
Peter, what happened to you? Why do you look like a wolf?
He was out hunting and heard an awful song and must have been enchanted by the witch who lived here. He's like so happy both of these kids are safe and thanks Kellan for helping Ruby and offers help in return.
He says to Kellan, I will do anything you would like to me if I can follow through with it. And Kellan needs proof of killing this first witch. So the brother, Peter, offers to bring the cauldron back to his liege as proof of the witch disintegrated inside.
It's nice to have a big brother to carry something heavy. Peter also like apologizes to Imodane because he had defeated her earlier and caused her to be captured. Oops. And so they all take the cauldron out. They end up in Lord Talion's court, who is not visible and gives the details for part 2 of the quest. Hilda is the next witch you seek. Her magic is great, her skill yet greater. She has concealed herself from my eyes. But consult the mere Indralan, and you may yet find her. Torn from Castle Vantress by Gera Grandsquall, who it now lies far from its home. Worry not, my wisdom will save you the trouble of hunting it down. A beanstalk grows not half a day's ride from here. Climb it, and you shall find the mere at its peak. You need to Google the witch on the mirror.
Yeah, that's how things work in this realm. Through magic mirrors, duh.
When they finish speaking, the court disappears, and Ruby stares at Kellan and says, oh, your liege is the Fae King! And Kellan bites his lip and he's like, oh, is that a problem? Like, I could really use both of your help. You're not going to be mad at me about this, right? And Peter's like, well, I can't like immediately go with you. I've got to heal. And Ruby's like, yeah, I'll go adventuring with you as soon as we take care of Peter and Imodane a little bit. And Ruby is impressed with Kellan's bravery.
It's funny that Ruby finds Kellan working with the Fae as brave, where I still think that's kind of foolish. But off to go get Hilda next. Just as a note, this witch that we killed here today in this story, her name was Agatha. I sure hope we get magic cards for Agatha and Hilda and the last witch.
What was your favorite part of the story?
A little quote that I want to call out that I thought was really cute, that again shows the naivety of our Kellan. He makes a wish and calls out to his dad. He says that the burrs sticking to his coat are little notes from his father, little encouragement from his father to go on. If that's what makes you believe, some burrs on your coat are your dad with you to give you bravery as you go push this witch into a cauldron, you go, kid. What about you? What was your favorite part?
My favorite one-liner is right before Kellan does the pushing, he says, you're the one that's cooked.
This episode was full of really great quotes. But when Ruby says, you've got a quest, you don't even have a sword.
Their banter really does so much for the story. Like, it really makes both of them full of charisma. What was your favorite image from this one?
I gotta go with this cauldron murder. I hope this is some type of a black removal spell, even if it's just a standard reprint of murder, 2 black and 1 colorless, destroy target creature. I would take that. That looks like a removal spell. What about you? What was your favorite photo?
I gotta go with the really cool image of Peter in the wolf armor. I was really wondering what that looked like when it was described in the story, and then seeing the art, it is very cool. And he's even carrying like a wolf fur, like you can see the head is on his back
Oh,
while
oh
he's
yeah.
facing down these witch stalkers that look like wolves, as if to say like, "Hey, I already got one of you. I can take the rest of you out."
And now we are going to see where we are adventuring in Eldraine on episode 3.